What if I told you that the most powerful marketing tool you already have access to isn't social media, it isn't paid ads, and it's not even your website? Heck, some of you don't even have websites. Well, my guest today is going to reveal how she used this tool to fill venues across the country before social media even existed, and now uses it to create deep connections and consistent sales in her business. Stay tuned to discover this often overlooked but incredibly powerful marketing secret. What is up? What is up? What the hell is up, my dark horse friends and family? You know, in today's world of shiny marketing tools, ooh, look at this, ooh, look at that, and fancy automation, we often overlook one of the most powerful ways to connect with our audience. And that, my friends, is email marketing. But not just any email marketing. I'm talking about the kind that builds relationships, the kind that creates genuine connections, and of course, yes, drives consistent sales. Today, I'm excited to introduce to you Tonya Brody, a seasoned email marketing expert who started her journey collecting emails on paper, literally writing them down while she was touring with her Celtic band. She's gone from those humble beginnings to helping entrepreneurs craft email marketing strategies that convert, and that's where the magic is. What I love about Tonya is her focus on authentic connection versus those pushy sales tactics. Buy from me now, buy from me. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen them in your inbox. When most people think about email marketing today, they picture automated sequences and fancy sales funnels. But at its heart, email marketing is really just about something much more fundamental. It's about building real connections with real people. And no one understands this better than my guest today, Tonya Brody, who learned this lesson in a rather unique way, touring with a Celtic band.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that history of email marketing because this weird lump behind me is actually a harp. And I was a professional touring musician for several years. I played with a Celtic band. I traveled all over the country playing music, and I collected email addresses on a piece of paper. And I had to get people to write down their name, their email address, and their zip code. And I was lucky if I could read it all. So that's how long I've been doing email marketing, is from when you could actually still send stuff from your account. That was like before ESPs were a required thing. Mm-hmm. So it's been a long time. I was doing that in the late 90s, early 2000s. So, and what I did with all of those email addresses was I told people when we were going to be playing and where we would be. Hey, we're going to be in your area at these places. But we also sent a monthly newsletter. We let people know about our new albums coming out. We let people know about all the merchandise we had. We told them funny stories from our tour. The whole point of that was to build community, to get people to show up to our shows.
Did you catch that? Before all the fancy tech was even out there, all that fancy tech that we have today, Tonya was building a community on handwritten emails, one email address at a time. And here's what's fascinating about that. The fundamental principle about email marketing still hasn't changed. Years later, here we are at the end of 2024, and it's still the same. But what has changed is how we think about these connections. And Tonya shares a brilliant analogy that really, I think, puts this all into perspective.
Mm-hmm. That is the point of your email list. Now, a lot of people, you were saying people create the WhatsApp and the Facebook group and all of that stuff. And I feel like those are great. Those are really, really useful. But as you say, A, you don't own those. Mm-hmm. And B, there's a huge difference to me between those things. So to me, the difference between any form of social media, any platform you do not own, and an email list is one of them is like being on a dance floor in a crowded club, right? Mm-hmm. There's all sorts of stuff going on around you. There's all sorts of stuff to distract you. And it's like having a conversation going, what? What did you say? Oh yeah, that's really cool. And having someone come into your living room to share a cup of tea and a chat. That's what email marketing is. Right. Because you are literally coming into someone's inbox. They are giving you permission to enter their inbox because they're interested in what you have to say.
Think about that for a moment. When was the last time that you had a meaningful conversation in a crowded club? I've been in a number of crowded clubs, not since 2019, but certainly have been in a number of crowded venues, and it's almost impossible. Now, let's compare that to sitting down with someone in your living room, at a coffee shop, in the park. That's the difference between throwing content out there, just throwing it up against the wall on social media, versus crafting a thoughtful email to your subscribers. But here's where most people get it wrong. They treat email marketing like a megaphone for their sales pitches instead of providing an opportunity to serve their audience.
It's really about building a community. It's about letting people get to know who you are, what you do, and how you serve them. So that's why I've always loved doing email marketing, is because it's not as much about selling as it is about serving to me. Selling is what you do when you get to the web page, right? You get to that landing page, you whatever it is, that sales. Email is much more about serving. It's explaining why this matters to someone. It's explaining how whatever it is will help that person reach their goals and attain their dreams, as opposed to, here, buy this thing.
That right there. This is why I'm such a big advocate of email marketing in your business. When it's done right, it's not just another marketing channel. It is literally your direct line to building real relationships with people who have said, hey, I want to hear from you. And you know what happens when you consistently show up to serve your audience? Yeah, they start to trust you. You see, every time you send an email that helps them solve a problem, that helps share a valuable insight, or even just puts a smile on their face, brightens someone's day, you're building that trust. You're building that bank of emotional content that you can pull from later on. It's like making small deposits into a relationship bank account. It's just like a real bank account. Those small deposits, they earn interest and they add up over time. And speaking of building trust through consistent communication, if you're finding value in the conversation about email marketing, I'd love for you to check out the Dark Horse Insider Digital Marketing Newsletter. Just go ahead and head over to Dark Horse Schooling /newsletter. This every week is where we're going to be sharing some practical digital marketing strategies that really work in the real world. The world where kids have soccer practice and dance recitals and somehow always seem to need a poster board at about 9 p.m. the night before the project is due. Yeah. Okay. Now that we understand the real power of email marketing lies in building genuine connections, we can talk about how to actually get started. And here's the good news, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need a complicated tech stack or all these different tools or a massive following to get started. In fact, as Tonya's going to tell us, there are 2 straightforward paths that you can take.
So there are 2 ways you can go about that. Number 1 is you can create a list of people you know and or people who are already your customers, if you're in that situation, and start emailing them. You send an email out that says, hey, I'm starting this thing. You're already a customer, or you're a friend of mine and I thought you'd like to know how to do this. And you send them an email. And you make sure that you say, if you never want to hear from me again because this doesn't interest you, click the unsubscribe button at the bottom of this email. You'll never hear from me again.
Right.
If you do want to hear from me, just hang out. I've got some interesting stuff to say.
Sure.
If you never buy from me, but you want to read these emails, that's totally fine. That's how I started my email list.
I love how simple that first approach is. Start with people you already know. But what about that second path? This is where we can get into what marketers call a lead magnet. Something valuable that you offer in exchange for an email address, just like I shared with you just a few moments ago, the Dark Horse Insider Digital Marketing Newsletter. That is something that I pack with value, and all I'm asking you to give me is your email address. Let's go there.
That is a totally legitimate way to start an email list. Now, to grow that email list, or if you want to start totally from scratch, this way, what you do is you create something people want. That is that lead magnet, that opt-in bribe, freebie, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
The thing you give away in exchange for their email address, right? Mm-hmm. So in my case, I have a list of 30 subject lines that will keep your subscribers opening and reading every email. If you go to my website, you'll see that pop up. It's like, here's the list, get it. And then you'll have something to write from. Because the most common complaint I hear from everyone, whenever I say, so do you have an email list? I don't, because I never know what to write.
Now, this is the moment right here where a lot of people trip up. They stumble, they bumble, they fall, they faceplant. They just get hung up. They think they need to have thousands of subscribers to make email marketing worth their time. But Tonya's going to share something really interesting about quality versus quantity.
So seriously, grow your email list organically. Yes, it's going to take you longer. But when you consider, and this is back to something you said earlier about email being profitable, when you consider that for every $1 you put into email, you get anywhere from $30 to $40 back in return on investment, it's worth taking the time to grow your own legitimate email list.
But hold on. Once you have those subscribers, what do you actually send them, Tracy? Well, this is where having a consistent communication schedule is really going to come in handy. And Tonya has a bit of a brilliant approach to this.
I get people onto that list, and then I'm sending them emails regularly about interesting things going on in email marketing, things that are relevant to AI, things that are relevant to whatever it is I am selling or doing that week. I send 2 emails a week. I
Okay.
send one on Tuesdays that usually directs people to a blog post of some sort. And I send one on Thursdays that is always either what I call a sales email, in that it's got a soft sell at the end, or it has a reply to of some sort. Hey, tell me what you think about. But it's always some sort of content piece, like a thought leadership piece, or a, hey, I heard about this the other day and I thought it would interest you type of piece. I call those my nurture emails. That is really what I'm all about, is sending those regular nurture emails so that you are top of mind when someone reaches that point when they're ready to buy.
You see what Tonya's doing there? She's creating a rhythm her subscribers can start to count on, right? It's like a heartbeat, right? And speaking of rhythms, like I told you about the Dark Horse Insider newsletter, we put it out there every week, giving you a little extra advice, sharing those actionable digital marketing strategies that will fit with your real life. Okay, so now that we've covered how to get started, let's talk about what makes email marketing actually work. And more importantly, what can make it fail? So many people tell you, here's the steps you need to do, but they forget to tell you the things don't do, and those big red X, right? So, I've been in the email marketing game, gosh, since the 90s, maybe a little bit before that, but definitely since the 90s, I can say with confidence. And I've seen plenty of both, the do's and the don'ts. But what really caught my attention was when Tonya shared this brilliant analogy about the biggest mistake most people make.
Think of it as the difference between that friend who, whenever you need help or advice, always shows up and has help and advice.
Mm-hmm.
And then every once in a while goes, yeah, can you help me out with this? And that friend who's always asking for help. I need money. Can I borrow your car? Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you want to hang out with?
Yeah, no, that's
right?
a good point.
More people want to hang out with the friend that actually helps them,
Yeah.
as opposed to the friend who just only asks for help. They just take, and never give. So it's really about giving. It's help, sell. How much can you help someone before you say, and go buy this thing?
That right there. You probably want to go back and re-listen to that, because that was pure gold. That tip right there was worth your time listening to this podcast. But it brings up an important question. If we're not constantly selling, what should we be doing? Well, Tonya explains there's a smart way to include calls to action within every email.
If someone wants a hard sell in every single email, they've already bought your product. They're there.
Right.
So they may unsubscribe because, like, I already own that. It's all good. But a soft sell in every email, some sort of call to action, is very, very important. And that call to action can be, go to this blog post, go to this podcast, check out this article, reply to, or even check out this product. That's a soft sell of some sort, a call to action at the end of every email, because you literally want to train people to click on a link, so that when you are doing that hard sell email, that sale at the end of the month or whatever it is that you're doing, people go, oh yeah, I want to go see what this is.
Right.
I trust this person. I'll check this out. But you want to train people to get used to seeing something beneficial to them at the other end of that link. So that is a do, is have a call to action in every single email.
But my friends, here's something that can trip up even the most experienced email marketing. Spam triggers. Oh, right, scary. These are the words and sometimes the phrases that can send your carefully crafted emails straight into the trash can, straight into that ever elusive spam folder. And Tanya's going to share some fascinating insights about this.
Another thing is there are actually lists of words out there, and you can find them, usually spam words list or email no-no lists, that you should not be using in your emails because they will get caught by the spam filters. I actually have a couple of blog posts about this on my website. Believe it or not, a big one is free.
Yes.
Which is really hard.
Yeah,
you're trying to give people something, genuinely want to give someone something.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, nothing about sex. That one's easy.
Yeah.
But also money is really hard. I write for an accountant. Can I tell you how hard it is not to talk about money?
Yeah, no doubt.
In emails from an accountant?
Yeah.
That's really hard. So it's you have to think about the language that you're using. Now, Google's gotten better, or all of the spam filters have gotten better about recognizing, okay, this is legitimate content, as opposed to this person is trying to spam.
And you know what's really interesting about this? Tonya shared a brilliant workaround for those very trigger words.
All ways that you can stay free without actually using FREE in your email. So you can say those things. You just have to find the alternative way to say it that isn't going to set off the spam filters.
These, my friends, are exactly the kind of practical real world tips that we're jamming into our newsletter. I'm not going to keep blowing this up in your ear, but I want you to pay attention to this. But beyond that, you know what's really fascinating about email marketing in today's world? While everyone else is out there right now, probably you've heard it before you clicked play on this episode, they're out there chasing the latest AI tools and the latest automation strategies. The emails that truly stand out are the ones that feel most human, right? They kind of touch you in some way. And Tonya shared something really powerful about this.
Do all of the silly things that you do. I am a cat owner. Pictures of my cats show up in my emails all the time. I am a total geek. I talk about Star Wars. I talk about Marvel movies. I talk about science fiction. I literally wrote about an NPR article I heard yesterday about Chinese AI avatars. Chinese AI is like people are making avatars of themselves to use in video. It's like the robots are taking over. That's what I wrote about in my email yesterday, because it was a way that I could get into what I wanted to talk about, which is AI.
You see what she does there? Yeah. It's not just about sending information. She's sharing who she is. And here's why that really matters so very much.
So find the things that interest you, because if they interest you, they're probably going to interest other people. Oh my gosh, Chinese robots are taking over the world. What? That's a great subject line. I'm going to open that. I want to find out what she's talking about. Be yourself. Be the person who people would meet if they walked into your shop, whether your shop is physical or virtual. Be that person because you want to be genuine. You want to be authentic.
This authenticity, really, if you think about it, becomes even more critical, even more crucial in today's world of AI and automations, right? In fact, Tonya shared something really interesting about this very thing.
And that, by the way, is a huge tip in the AI world, is being authentic, being you.
Yes.
Because even though the Chinese are trying really hard, they're not going to be able to replicate you and what it is that you do. There's always going to need to be some human element in everything that we do, because we all want to relate to each other, not to the robots.
But my Dark Horse friends and family, here is where I think it all starts to come together when Tonya explains exactly how this builds that crucial know, like, and trust factor that we hear about all the time.
They're going to look forward to reading your emails because, oh my gosh, it's from Tracy. He's always funny. I'm going to enjoy this. This is going to be great. He's always got something interesting to say. I appreciate what he says. I'm going to learn something. That's going to help me right now in my business. That's what you want to be. You want to be that person that someone turns to when they need help. And then you have this thing that will genuinely help them. That's the whole point.
And that right there, my friends, is the secret sauce of effective email marketing. Being consistently, authentically you. How many times have you heard me say that on this podcast, on the YouTube show? Be you, while providing real value to the audience. That's what we strive for here at the podcast, here at the Dark Horse Insider Digital Marketing Newsletter, wherever you're in contact and step into our sphere of influence. I strive to be authentically me. For some of you, that works. They're like, hey, it's Tracy, check him out. For others, they're like, ew. And that's okay. There's someone out there for them as well, okay? Now, you know, after this conversation with Tonya, I was more convinced than ever that email marketing isn't just about clicking the send button and getting the messages to go out there, not just about clicking sending. It's about building relationships. And it's something I've strived to do from the beginning. And in doing that, you learn a few things about shedding dead weight, right? Sometimes you got to clear out your email list. I had a potential client I was trading an email with just here in the past couple of days, where they had built up an email list. And then some of the folks that were, let's call them more extreme on their email list, started spreading rumors about them and their company. And I said, here's what you need to do. You need to do a 5-day email campaign. He's like, well, why would I want to do that? I says, that way you get rid of you're going to separate the wheat from the chaff in your email list. And as long as you keep being authentically you and sharing your value, those that no longer care are going to hit unsubscribe. It's about showing up consistently, being genuinely helpful, and yes, being authentically you. Because in a world of automation, in a world of AI, in a world of avatars, that is what's truly going to stand out. I really want to take a minute at the end of this episode here to thank Tonya and Brody for showing up and being herself and sharing her wisdom with us today. I was only able to jam some of her wisdom into this podcast episode you're listening to right now. So if you'd like to watch the whole interview, the link will be down in the show notes. So you can go check it out over there on the YouTube channel. And I want to thank you, my Dark Horse friends and family, for joining us on this journey. And until next time, be authentically you. Keep providing value. Think successfully and take action.